The Burning opened May 8th, 1981 in Florida on 110 screens. It also played on additional theaters in the following weeks, never quite getting a full-scale wide release like other slashers of the time like Friday 2, Graduation Day, Happy Birthday to Me, all opening within weeks of each other. This was the golden age of slashers, and there was a ton of these bloody films being spat out with such high frequency that many got lost in the shuffle, as was the case with Burning upon its initial release, not quite making as big of a splash or slash as the other video store staples of the 80s. That was stupid. The Burning was the brainchild of none other than king sex pest and overall shitbag Harvey Weinstein. With the screenplay based on Harvey's outline, written by Bob Weinstein, Harvey's brother, and Peter Lawrence, The Burning was the Weinsteins' attempt to cash in at the massive slasher craze at the time to give their little startup some noise in the industry. Bob and Harvey started Miramax as a way to jump into the movie biz after working in the music industry as concert promoters, and The Burning was one of the very first, if not the very first film for the company. The Burn's initial run bringing in just over $700,000 on its $1.5 million budget. The film wasn't without some major players behind the scenes though, with first-time movie debuts from actors like Jason Alexander, Fisher Stevens, and the beautiful Holly Hunter. The film also boasts a fantastic score being composed by Rick Wakeman of the band Yes, a badass 70s progressive rock band you should definitely check out, by the way. The film was directed by Tony Malam or Tony Malam. I could be getting that wrong. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. It was active until 2008 and hasn't directed in over a decade, but did also direct the Rutger Hauer classic, or cult classic, Split Second, which I also recommend checking out. That movie is killer. And last but certainly not least is the one and only Tom Savini providing Cropsy's deformed and burned face, as well as providing all of the gore effects. Tom Savini actually turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 for the opportunity to work on The Burning.
The Burning came in. I actually turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 to do The Burning because Jason was running around in Friday the 13th Part 2. And as you know, there is no Jason. Jason was a kid that died in the first movie. If you watch a Friday the 13th movie past Part 1, you're stupid. Because there's no Jason. There shouldn't be a Jason. That's what I was thinking. And they said, oh no, we're going to change that. And then it comes out and there's Jason, you know, so. And he's still around. I cut his head in half in Part 4. We still have Jason running around.
The movie itself has a relatively simple setup that's not dissimilar to Friday the 13th. Now, the Weinsteins claim that their film was written first, but who knows? That's up for debate.
When Harvey came to me, well, I had already done Friday the 13th. He said, you know, we had The Burning before Friday the 13th. You know, we wrote this movie, we owned this before Friday the 13th. Because it's the same kind of plot line, you know?
The film opens up at Camp Blackfoot, where campers are planning on pulling a prank on the resident camp caretaker, Cropsy, besetting a disgusting worm-covered skull with burning candles in the eye sockets on Cropsy's bed in an attempt to scare him. Cropsy is then startled awake by the pranksters banging on his cabin window. The poor bastard knocks the flaming skull over onto his bed, immediately engulfing the entire cabin in flames, including Cropsy, who was burnt to a crisp, horrifyingly disfiguring him. Fueled by revenge, 5 years later, he directs his rage at the campers at Camp Stonewater, picking them off one by one with his signature garden shears? Oh well, you do you, boo. The story is loosely based on the urban legend of Cropsy, a boogeyman haunting Staten Island, picking off children should they stray too far from home. For decades, the children of Staten Island were haunted by tales of a spooky escaped mental patient killer with a hook for a hand that would drag unlikely children to an abandoned mental hospital and killing them. Such a sweet story. Years later, serial killer Andre Rand would later embody this legend and be known as the Cropsy of Staten Island. The story of both the legend of Cropsy and Andre Rand are both fascinating in their own right and are well worth a look if you really feel like having nightmares tonight. Either way, the Weinsteins, being New Yorkers themselves, used the legend of the Cropsy killer to base their own horror movie on, and so here we have The Burning. Now, upon my first viewing of The Burning, I didn't love it. My love for camp slashers will always lean heavily in the direction of Sleepaway Camp and Friday the 13th, but that's not to say that The Burning isn't without its charm. For one, the camp setting is captured perfectly here with the gorgeous sunrises and the golden hour shots of the lake and the camp itself, and it checks all the boxes of a solid camp slasher. The cast all have great chemistry with one another, and we have tons of great scenes with the kids just killing time and goofing off, playing pranks, being super horny, which is always a good time. The interaction of all the campers adds a bit of character development before they all start getting picked off one by one by our man Cropsy. I do wish we had a bit more on-camera gore, and we just don't see that much of Cropsy, which is a shame actually, because the makeup effects on actor Lou David by Tom Savini were absolutely amazing. It's just too bad we didn't see more of that. Overall, The Burning is an entertaining ride with all the trimmings of a good cheesy 80s midnight movie, and the film has gone on to gain quite a cult following, and I can see why. Like I said, the character design of Cropsy himself, the work done by Tom Savini to make this disfigured face, I really feel like Cropsy could have been the next horror icon had The Burning maybe had a couple sequels, like Friday the 13th, which in my opinion is one of the weaker entries. The series went on to get better and better with the sequels as the evolution of Jason kind of progressed, and I think that we could have had that with Cropsy. I really feel like he could have been that next horror icon had he had a couple more movies. Some sequels that up the gore and up the violence and up the cheese factor of the 80s. I don't know why they didn't make any more of these. I wish we could have got some sequels. I think I actually would have gone on to appreciate the original Burning just a little bit more, but as it stands alone, to me, it's pretty much regarded as well as I think it should be. Kind of an underground cult slasher, never quite made the ranks of like Freddy and Jason and Michael, but I think it could have had it had a couple more sequels, but that's just my opinion. Of course, always in the comments down below, let me know what you think of The Burning. I know a lot of people really love this movie. It has quite a cult following, and I can see why. It's a good time. I can see myself watching it again, but guys, I think we're done here. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of The Burning. Let me know movies you want to see me cover on the channel, and I think we're done here, guys. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.